Hello, everyone. There are stories that don't begin with grand things, but have their origins in a small house, on a cold night, with a few people learning to stay together after many breakups. On that Christmas, as the street lights began to glow, Hwin's family prepared in silence for a simple meal. There was no big Christmas tree, no luxurious gifts, just the warmth of the kitchen and hearts slowly rediscovering what it means to be a family. There was Yi, a quiet man with promises he had never spoken aloud. There was Hwin, a woman accustomed to being strong, yet deep in her heart still needing shelter. And there was Maya, a little girl who had grown up without her father's arms, learning to believe that love is real. This story has no magic, just decisions to stay. There are no heroes, only ordinary people kind enough to heal one another every day. If you're reading these lines, perhaps somewhere inside you've also longed for a home. Have you ever wished for a meal full of laughter and dreamed of saying the word family without feeling pain? Stay with me. Follow Hwin's family on this special Christmas night. If you feel the warmth of this story, don't forget to like it and leave a few kind words for Hwin and little Maya, because sometimes a single word of encouragement can be the greatest gift. The story begins now. Christmas was approaching quickly. Outside, the cold wind slipped through every corner, carrying the scent of pine and soft Christmas melodies drifting from somewhere in the neighborhood. Hwin's small house glowed with a warm yellow light, not dazzling, but enough to chase away the loneliness of years past. In the kitchen, Yi was busy preparing the meal. He wasn't an expert in fancy cooking, but today he did everything with extra care. Each carrot was peeled meticulously. Each leaf of greens was washed thoroughly, as if he were pouring respect into every step. Hwin stood beside him, cooking and watching in silence. She noticed how much he had changed since Maya arrived. He spoke less, had grown more serious, but his eyes were always filled with responsibility. Maya sat at the table, swinging her legs and hugging an old teddy bear. The little girl looked at Yi with bright eyes. "Uncle Yi, what is Christmas?" Yi paused for a second, turned, crouched in front of her, and his voice softened. "Christmas is a day when people stay together, sweetheart. It's a day to love each other more." Maya tilted her head innocently. "Then can I go out and play this Christmas?" That question tightened Ye's heart. He knew that for another child it would be an ordinary question, but for Maya it was a small dream long forgotten. He smiled and gently wiped some dust from her cheek. "Of course, I promise. This Christmas I'll take you out to play. We'll see a big Christmas tree with lights shining everywhere. Do you like that, Maya?" Her eyes widened in surprise, and she nodded quickly. "Yes, really, really." Ye's voice was deep but firm, like a true promise. Hwin turned as if tasting the soup, but her eyes were full of tears. She knew that promise wasn't just about going out to play. It was Ye's way of slowly making up to Maya for TUC, the biological father who had left too many wounds. Dinner was almost ready. On the table were only simple dishes: steaming soup, stewed meat with a touch of pepper, a few slices of golden bread. But Maya looked at the table as if it were something very special. She sat up straight, clasped her hands, and whispered, "Can I eat with Daddy?" Then, catching herself, "I mean with Uncle Yi, Mom." The whole kitchen fell silent. Hwin held her breath. Yi froze for a moment. He didn't correct the child. He simply sat gently beside Maya. His voice cracked a little. "Yes, we'll eat together." During the meal, Maya smiled more than usual. She told all the little stories from school, about her teacher, her friends. Yi listened attentively, nodding now and then, adding more food to Maya's plate. The gesture was so natural, as if he had done it all his life. Sometimes, without realizing it, Maya rested her head on Ye's arm. Such a small gesture, yet it stopped the man's heart. He didn't dare move. He just lowered his head and breathed deeply to hold back the emotions threatening to overflow. In that moment he thought of TUC, remembered the wounds, the tears Maya had shed in silence. He told himself that no matter how painful the past had been, he would never let it happen again. After dinner, Yi cleared the table while Hwin wiped Maya's hands. The little girl looked up at them with a soft voice full of hope. "This year at Christmas, we'll all be together, right, Mom?" Hwin smiled and hugged her. "Yes, all together." He stood behind them, his gaze calm but warm. And from now on, it will always be like that. Outside, Christmas bells rang through the night. The small house had no grand tree or lavish gifts, but 3 people sat together, learning to love and heal one another day by day. For Maya, this was the first Christmas where she truly felt what the word family means. For Yi, it was the beginning of a lifelong promise to love the little girl with everything he had, to make up for a childhood missing a father's presence. The next morning, as light mist still covered the rooftops, the small yard in front of the house was livelier than usual. Vivi the dog ran around the yard, tail wagging, barking now and then as if calling everyone to wake up. Inside, Huynh sat up gently. Morning light slipped through the window crack, illuminating the 2 sleeping faces beside her. Maya curled in the blanket with rosy cheeks, and Yi lying on his side with one hand protectively near the child. Huynh watched for a while. The peaceful moment was so perfect she feared any small sound might break it. She leaned down and whispered, "Yi, wake up. It's morning." Yi stirred, opened his eyes, and for a few seconds looked confused. But when he saw Maya sleeping peacefully, his gaze softened instantly. "It's morning, dear," Huynh smiled. "Yes. Today you still have to take Maya to the market." As if remembering something important, Yi sat up quickly, looked at Maya, and gently tapped her shoulder. "Maya, wake up. Today we're going to the market." Maya shifted in bed, eyes still half closed, but the moment she heard market, she sat bolt upright. "Really, Uncle Yi? Can I go too?" "Yes, we'll go together." Outside, Vivi approached the door and barked, "Woof!" as if agreeing. Maya let out a crystal-clear laugh that filled the whole small house. A little later, the 3 were ready. Maya wore an old but clean coat, her hair in 2 braids done by Huynh. He put on a worn jacket and firmly held Maya's hand. The path to the market was busier than usual. The bustle of shopping, laughter, the smell of fresh vegetables and newly baked bread filled the air. To Maya, everything was new. "Uncle, why are there so many people here?" "Because everyone wants to buy good things for their families, sweetheart." Maya nodded. Then suddenly she tugged Ye's hand and pulled him toward a basket of vegetables. "Let's buy these for Mom. Mom likes vegetables a lot." He stood still for a second, looking at the child, his heart softened. "Of course. Maya, you choose." The little girl picked carefully, taking each bunch of greens and each tomato with a serious expression, as if doing something very important. He stood back, watching silently, feeling something he had never experienced before, the feeling of truly being a father. They also bought some meat, eggs, and a small cake that Maya insisted on. "This cake is for Mom to have as dessert, Uncle." Yi didn't refuse. He knew it was the child's way of learning to give love. On the way home, Maya couldn't stop talking. "Today at noon I'll help Uncle cook. I already know how to wash vegetables." "Good girl," he said, stroking her head. A rare smile appeared on his face, lit by the sun. When they arrived home, Huynh had already lit the stove. Seeing the 2 return with full hands, she was a little surprised. "You bought so much." Maya ran to her and hugged her. "We're going to cook for you, Mom. You have to eat everything." Huynh laughed, but her eyes filled with tears. In the kitchen, Yi and Maya washed vegetables and cut ingredients. Maya did it slowly, water splashed everywhere, but Yi patiently taught her step by step. There were no shouts, only gentle corrections. That afternoon Huynh ate very well, not because the food was fancy, but because it carried the hearts of the 2 people she loved most deeply. He looked at them both and thought to himself, as long as there are mornings like this, any tiredness will be bearable. The afternoon passed slowly in the small house, where the scent of freshly cooked rice mingled with the warmth of the stove, calming everyone's hearts in a strange, comforting way. Soft sunlight streamed through the window, falling on the old wooden table in gentle silky stripes. The meal was arranged simply but familiarly: a bowl of hot steaming soup, a plate of fresh garden greens, stewed meat glistening brown and fragrant with pepper and fried onions. It wasn't a luxurious meal, but that day it felt more complete than ever, because 3 people sat around it, sharing a piece that was truly real. Maya sat in the center, back straight like a grown-up. Her small hands rested carefully in front of her bowl, and her eyes shone with excitement and a touch of shyness, as if afraid that blinking might make this warm moment disappear. He sat opposite her, quietly watching the two women. His gaze was calm but tender. He placed a small piece of meat in Maya's bowl, blew on it gently to cool it, and set it carefully on her plate. "Eat, sweetheart. It's hot." Maya nodded vigorously. Her eyes lit up with joy. Huynh watched the scene. A faint smile appeared on her lips. Her heart tightened for a moment, then softened. It had been a long time since she could sit down to a meal without her heart clenched with worry or insecurity about tomorrow. Now it was just eating, watching, laughing with her daughter, and feeling the warmth radiating from the small kitchen. The meal passed slowly amid small talk. Maya told stories about her class, the teacher's cat, the trip to the market with Uncle Yi. The soft clinking of bowls and chopsticks, Vivi's occasional snuffling under the table as she rubbed her nose and wagged her tail, all blended into a simple, tranquil melody, the kind of peace you only truly appreciate after having lost it. Midway through the meal, Yi suddenly set down his chopsticks. He looked at Maya, his eyes shining with anticipation and a little nervousness, like a child about to reveal a secret. "Tonight I'll take you to the church, okay?" Maya looked up in surprise, eyes wide. "To the church, Uncle?" "Yes. There's a very big, very tall Christmas tree with lights shining everywhere." He paused, his smile growing. "And they say Santa Claus will arrive there on his sleigh." When he finished, Maya froze for a second. Then, in a flash, she jumped from her chair, nearly knocking over her bowl. "Really, Uncle Yi? Santa Claus with real reindeer?" Her voice, full of excitement, echoed through the house. She laughed so hard that tears sparkled in her eyes, hugging herself as if afraid the joy was only a dream. Huynh quickly scolded her gently. "Calm down, honey. Don't knock over your bowl." But she couldn't help smiling too. It had been so long since she had seen Maya this happy, pure, unrestrained happiness with no fear or need to look back. He watched the child. His heart softened. He spoke slowly, as if afraid to break that pure emotion. "Tonight remember to wear a warm coat. It's very cold." Maya nodded quickly. "Yes, I'll wear a very warm coat and a scarf too." Then she turned to Huynh, her voice softer, pleading. "Mom, will you come with me?" Before Huynh could answer, he spoke gently but firmly, as naturally as breathing. "Mom will carry Maya in her arms." The kitchen fell silent for a brief moment. Huynh looked up at Yi. In his eyes there was no awkwardness or doubt, only understanding and tenderness, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Hearing this, Maya ran to hug Huynh. "Really, Mom? Will you carry me?" Huynh hugged her daughter. Her hand trembled slightly. Warm tears gathered in her eyes, but she smiled. "Yes, Mom will carry you." He watched the two of them. His heart tightened, then filled with warmth. He understood that tonight wasn't just a Christmas outing, it was Maya's first real memory, a night when someone held her hand, carried her in their arms, and made her believe she truly belonged to a family. Outside, the afternoon sun began to set, giving way to the gentle cold of year's end. But inside that small house, a different light was kindling, the warm, lasting light of love, brighter than any Christmas tree. Night fell, and the year-end cold filled the path to the church. Christmas lights hung high overhead, their warm yellow glow stretching like a pathway. Bells rang clearly with pure, sacred tones, making hearts pause for a moment. He walked beside them, one hand holding Maya's and the other shielding the two women from the wind. Huynh carried Maya in her arms, her thin coat wrapped around the child's small body. Maya rested her head on her mother's shoulder, but her eyes were wide open, round with wonder. As they passed through the church gate, Maya exclaimed softly, "Mom, it's so beautiful!" Before her stood an enormous Christmas tree, tall and elegant in the middle of the courtyard. Colored lights twinkled like fallen stars, and ornaments reflected the glow in sparkling flashes. Beneath the tree were figures of Santa Claus, reindeer, and perfectly lined gift boxes, shining as if straight from a dream. Maya hugged Huynh's neck tightly, her voice trembling with emotion. "I thought that only existed on television." Hwin stood still too, silently feeling her heart touch something sacred. For so many years she had grown used to spending Christmas in silence, hurrying past crowded streets. But now, under the shining Christmas lights and surrounded by laughter, she realized she deserved happiness too. Yi stood behind them, quietly watching. Seeing Hwin's eyes full of joy and wonder, he said softly, "If you get tired carrying her, I'll take Maya. I'll walk slowly." Hwin nodded. Maya looked at Yi excitedly. "Uncle Yi, I see the reindeer. They have wings." "Yes, tonight Santa Claus will surely come here," Yi replied, his deep voice warm. They joined the crowd in front of the church. Christmas carols began to play, soft and deep. Maya didn't understand all the words, but she swayed to the music, clapping gently on her mother's shoulder. Hwin leaned down and softly kissed her daughter's hair. "Are you happy, sweetheart?" Maya nodded hard, eyes shining brightly. "Mom, I've never been this happy." Those simple words squeezed Hwin's heart. She hugged her daughter tighter, as if trying to make up for all the years of scarcity. Suddenly, from afar, the crowd cheered as someone dressed as Santa Claus appeared on a decorated sleigh pulled by reindeer. Maya almost lost her breath, then let out a soft cry of joy. "There's Santa Claus, Mom. He really came." The child stretched out her hand, eyes fixed on the figure. Hwin smiled, tears in her eyes. She had never imagined a simple moment like this could fill her heart so completely. He stood beside them, watching Maya in Hwin's arms. A strange feeling washed over him, a mix of happiness and gratitude. He understood that not all gifts come wrapped in pretty paper. Some gifts are made of presents, of holding someone's hand on a cold Christmas night. The church bells rang again, echoing through the air beneath the bright lights. Hwin carried Maya, standing beside Yi. The three of them stood in silence, side by side, no need for words. In that moment, among the crowd in front of the church, they were no longer just people who had suffered and been alone. They were a small family, learning, little by little, to be happy under the light of a quiet Christmas.